When life hurts too much, something inside you quietly breaks. But not the way you think. It's not your strength that fractures, it's the illusion you've been clinging to. The illusion that you must fight every battle alone, control every outcome, and carry every wound until it heals. Tell me, hasn't this weight become unbearable? Buddhist wisdom says, the self you cling to is the source of all suffering. So ask yourself, how long will you delay becoming the best version of yourself before 2025 ends? Buddhism teaches that the hardest moments aren't punishments, they're awakenings. Awakenings disguised as pain, forcing you to see what your heart has avoided. Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, your doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight. Stay with me, because the way you've been dealing with hard times is exactly why they keep returning. And tonight, that ends. 1. Stop negotiating with your weakness. What if every compromise you make with your excuses is a silent contract that slowly kills your potential? The old masters would say this softly, like a candle flickering in a dim monastery hall. They knew that the greatest enemy you face is not outside. It is the voice inside that whispers, "Not today, maybe later." And every time you choose that voice, a part of your strength dissolves. A man becomes fragile the moment he listens to his lesser voice. Remember this and breathe with it for a moment. The weak version of you doesn't arrive dramatically. It grows quietly, like a vine around your legs, soft enough to ignore, but strong enough to stop your life. This is why Buddhist teachings warn about the mind that follows ease over truth. Because comfort can seduce you into staying exactly where you are, while your deeper potential waits, unheard. Sit with your eyes closed for a moment. Picture every excuse you've repeated. I'm tired. Tomorrow, it doesn't matter. Each becoming a thin vine, tugging gently at your ankles. Now imagine cutting just one. Feel the lightness that follows. In today's world, this weakness hides behind noble-sounding words. I'm overwhelmed. I need a break. I'll start when I feel ready. But readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. Look at your life, your relationships, your habits, your growth. Where have you been negotiating with your own potential? Where have you allowed softness to rule when strength was required? Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering begins when we abandon the path of clarity and drift into self-deception. You don't grow because life changes. You grow because you decide to. And that decision requires cutting away the parts of you that keep settling. Think about one promise you keep breaking to yourself. Why has it been so easy to betray your own growth? Imagine this. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, the weak version of you loses power. Every time you choose honesty over excuses, your inner strength sharpens. This is the spiritual turning point most people avoid because it demands truth. The weak self dies the moment you stop feeding it. The strong self is born the moment you stop running from your responsibilities. So ask yourself, which excuses have become your comfort blanket? What is one promise you can stop breaking today? And who will you become when you stop negotiating with your weakness? Kill that weaker version before 2025 ends, not with anger, but with clarity. Because the version of you that keeps suffering is not the real you. End it before it ends you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My strength awakes now." 2. The inner death that must happen before rebirth. Why does the old self fear transformation as if it's losing oxygen? This is the quiet mystery the ancient teachers understood well. The self you have outgrown clings to you, not because it is strong, but because it is terrified. It knows that the moment you choose growth, it will not survive. A new life begins the moment your old one stops defending itself. Let this truth settle into your breath for a moment. Notice how it softens the fear and brings clarity to the places inside you that have been resisting change. The weak version of you tries to survive by convincing you that transformation is dangerous. But think of a snake shedding its skin, how the process looks painful, almost violent. Yet staying inside the old skin is a slow death. The old self too becomes tight, cracked, and suffocating. Still, you cling to it because it is familiar. That familiarity becomes a cage, and the bars are built from old identities, old habits, old wounds. Imagine stepping out of that heavy, cracked shell. Feel the weight sliding from your shoulders. Feel the deeper breath that follows. This is the inner death Buddhism speaks of, not destruction, but release. In the modern world, this death is disguised. You tell yourself, "This is just who I am," even when the identity no longer fits. You say, "I can't change," even when staying the same is hurting you. Look at your life, your patterns, your reactions, your fears. Which identity have you outgrown but still cling to? What part of you resists change the most? The fearful mind, the complacent habits, the familiar sadness. These are not your essence. They are just old skins you forgot to shed. Buddhist teachings remind us that rebirth isn't a single moment. It's a continuous process of letting go. The weak self defends its comfort. The awakened self defends its freedom. To step into your stronger, clearer, higher version, something within you must die. A belief, a behavior, a story. Ask yourself with honesty, what must be shed before 2025? This is your spiritual turning point. When you stop feeding the old identity, it loses its grip. When you stop defending your limitations, the stronger self begins to breathe. Picture yourself stepping into the new year unburdened, lighter, clearer, unafraid. Kill the outdated version of you with compassion, not violence. Release it. Let it fall away. Because the life waiting for you cannot begin until the old one stops fighting for control. 3. Discipline as a form of self-respect. What if discipline is not harshness, but a prayer you say with your actions? A quiet devotion to the life you know you're meant to live. The old self trembles at the thought of discipline because it knows that every consistent step weakens its grip. Where discipline begins, self-doubt ends. Let these words settle gently inside you. Notice how they expose the places where you have let yourself be carried by impulse instead of intention. In Buddhist wisdom, discipline isn't punishment, it is alignment. It is choosing the path that nourishes your higher self rather than the one that comforts your weaker self. Think of discipline as a candle in the dark, small, steady, and impossible to extinguish once protected. This candle doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply glows. Your job is to guard it, to keep it lit, even on the days when your mind tries to convince you that it's easier to sit in darkness. Imagine lighting a candle inside your chest. Feel its warmth spreading through your ribs. Feel its steadiness. This is the flame of discipline, simple, unshakable, sacred. When you act from this inner light, you stop abandoning yourself. You stop betraying the promises you whisper in quiet moments. You stop waiting for motivation to arrive and instead create your own momentum. Look honestly at your life. Where have you abandoned yourself? In your health, your practices, your dreams, your emotional habits. The weak self feeds on broken routines and incomplete intentions. But your strongest self, the one you're trying to become before 2025 ends, does not skip the actions that matter. It does not negotiate with excuses. It does not wait for the right mood. It shows up, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. In today's world, discipline is often painted as rigidity, but in Buddhist teachings, it is compassion. It is choosing the path that prevents suffering instead of creating more of it. What if discipline became your peace, not your burden? What if it became the way you show love to your future self? Ask yourself, what routine would your strongest self never skip? What small act each day protects the flame inside you? And how different would your life look if you stopped abandoning your own potential? This is your turning point. The weak version of you hopes you remain inconsistent, but the disciplined version, the awakened version, is waiting. Kill the weaker self gently by choosing the actions that honor your light. Let discipline become your quiet revolution, your calm strength, your daily prayer. 4. The quiet strength of men who do not break. Why do some men bend but never collapse, even when storms surround them? This is a truth whispered through Buddhist teachings. Strength is not loud, not rigid, not explosive. It is quiet. It is steady. It is the stillness within you that refuses to shatter. Strength is found in the stillness that refuses to shatter. Let this line rest inside your breath, reminding you that unbreakable men are not built from armor, but from awareness. Life will send storms, unexpected losses, personal failures, emotional turmoil. But the weak version of you collapses at the first sign of pressure because it believes strength means resisting everything. The wiser self knows that true strength is the ability to remain centered even as the world shakes. Be like bamboo, flexible enough to move, strong enough to stand. Bamboo does not fight the wind, it flows with it. And because it flows, it survives. Picture yourself as bamboo in the wind. See your body swaying, see your mind steady. You bend, you move, you adjust, but you never crack. Feel how liberating that image is. Strength does not mean you never feel fear or sadness. It means those emotions pass through you without turning you into someone you are not. When you learn this, storms lose their power. Look into your own life with honesty. Where do you collapse too easily? Is it when someone disrespects you? When plans fail? When your emotions overwhelm you? Or when life feels unfair? The weak self breaks because it is rooted in ego, expectation, fear, and control. Emotional sturdiness, however, is rooted in clarity. It asks you to breathe before reacting, observe before collapsing, and remember your truth before surrendering to chaos. In Buddhist teachings, strength comes from the mind that does not cling. When you let go of needing life to be perfect, you become unbreakable. When you let go of trying to control every outcome, you become adaptable. And when you let go of emotional impulsiveness, you become centered. So ask yourself, what would emotional sturdiness look like for you? A calmer response? A slower breath? A decision made from wisdom instead of panic? And what storm in your life right now are you meant to bend through, not break in? This is your turning point. The weak version of you wants you to collapse under pressure. But the wiser, stronger version, the one you must rise into before 2025 ends, grows in storms. Let the wind come. Let it move you. But do not let it break you. The man who learns to bend becomes the man who endures. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My strength awakes now." The Buddhist art of exposing hidden excuses. What if your excuses were not real? Only emotional shadows pretending to be logic. This is a truth many never discover, because the weaker self survives by hiding behind false reasons. Excuses survive in the places you refuse to illuminate. Sit with that for a moment. Let it show you how often you've mistaken fear for reasoning, hesitation for wisdom, or laziness for self-care. The mind can be incredibly clever when it wants to avoid growth. In Buddhism, excuses are seen as forms of illusion, mental fog that keeps you from seeing life clearly. They appear solid until you look directly at them. Excuses are like ghosts, terrifying only until you turn on the light. They whisper, "You're too tired, you're too late, you're not ready," and you accept these whispers as truth. But these shadows cannot survive once you shine awareness on them. Visualize a dim room inside your mind. See excuses drifting in the corners like thin mist. Now imagine turning on a lantern. Watch how they evaporate, losing their shape, losing their power. Think of your daily life. Which excuse controls you the most? Is it the excuse that keeps you from taking care of your body? The excuse that stops you from pursuing growth? The excuse that protects your comfort but destroys your potential? When you expose an excuse, you uncover the truth beneath it. And that truth is often simple. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of becoming someone stronger. The weak version of you relies on these fears to survive. Modern living makes excuses feel even more real. We justify procrastination with stress, distractions with rest, avoidance with boundaries. But the deeper self knows the difference between protection and escape. The deeper self knows when you are hiding. Ask yourself gently, what truth hides beneath your biggest excuse? What are you afraid will happen if you stop running from responsibility? Buddhist teachings remind us that clarity is liberation. When you illuminate your inner shadows, you reclaim your strength. When you stop lying to yourself, even softly, you step into a higher version of life. Imagine how your world would change if that one crippling excuse didn't exist. How much lighter would you feel? How much more possible would your goals become? This is the moment the weak self begins to die, not through force, but through exposure. When your excuses lose their hiding places, they lose their power. And when that happens, your stronger self finally breathes. Kill the weaker version before 2025 ends by shining light where shadows once lived. Because the strongest transformation begins the moment you stop believing your own excuses. 6. The samurai mind, ending self-betrayal. How many times a day do you abandon yourself without noticing? This question lands quietly, like a monk's whisper through evening air. Because the truth is simple. The weaker version of you doesn't crumble from one big mistake. It erodes through tiny betrayals you don't even register. Every small betrayal builds a man who can no longer trust himself. Let that line settle in your chest. Feel how it reveals the fractures created by every skipped routine, every broken promise, every moment you said yes to comfort and no to your own growth. Imagine carrying a sword made of paper. That is what self-betrayal feels like. Every time you lie to yourself, every time you say you'll change but don't, every time you run from the truth, you weaken the blade. You become a warrior who cannot fight his own inner battles. You become a man who cannot trust the words he speaks to himself. And trust in yourself is the foundation of discipline, clarity, and power. Now, visualize sharpening a real sword. Hear the steady scrape. Feel the weight of the blade. Each stroke represents a promise you keep. Every time you act with alignment, no matter how small, you sharpen your inner weapon. You rebuild trust. You strengthen the version of you that stands firm. This is the samurai mind Buddhism speaks of, not violence, but integrity, a mind that does not abandon itself. Look honestly within. Where do you betray yourself the most? Is it in the morning habits you avoid, the emotions you suppress, the goals you delay, or the boundaries you never enforce? Self-betrayal is subtle. It becomes normal, but its consequences are deep. A man who constantly abandons himself becomes anxious, lost, and fragile. A man who keeps even one small promise begins to rebuild his inner power brick by brick. In our modern world, distractions make betrayal easy. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You promise you'll be better next week. But your deeper self remembers everything. It remembers every delay, every compromise, every surrender to weakness. And slowly, it stops trusting you. So ask yourself, what tiny act of alignment can you do today? What is one promise you can finally honor instead of postpone? How strong would you become if you eliminated even half of your self-abandonment? This is your turning point, the inner shift most people never experience. The weak version of you survives on broken promises, but the awakened version, the disciplined version, grows sharper with every act of truth. Kill the self that betrays you. Sharpen the one that stands with you. Before 2025 ends, become the man who no longer abandons his own potential. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My strength awakes now." 7. Turning your pain into a weapon of clarity. What if your suffering has always been your compass, not your curse? This is a truth many avoid, because listening to pain feels dangerous, yet avoiding it is what truly harms you. Pain is the teacher that whispers the truth you refuse to hear. Let this line echo within you. Notice how it reframes everything you've been running from. Pain is not the enemy. It is the messenger. It is the compass pointing you toward the places inside that need healing, strength, and transformation before 2025 ends. In Buddhist wisdom, pain is sacred. Not because it feels good, but because it reveals what you've been unwilling to face. Pain is like a sculptor, carving away everything that is not your true self. It chips at your ego, your illusions, your false identities, your old wounds. See your pain as a chisel shaping a stone version of you, one strike at a time. Each strike feels intense, but each one brings you closer to the version of yourself you're meant to become. Most people resist pain so deeply that they never learn from it. They numb it, deny it, escape it, or blame others for it. But the weak self is the one who fears pain. The stronger self studies it. The awakened self listens to it. Ask yourself, what is your pain trying to show you? Is it pointing toward a boundary you need to set? A truth you need to accept? A habit you need to break? A relationship you need to release? Pain always has a message. Your job is to stop running long enough to hear it. Look at your life. Where have you been resisting pain's lessons? Maybe your loneliness is showing you where you've abandoned your own heart. Maybe your frustration is revealing where you've been living out of alignment. Maybe your repeated failures are teaching you where discipline, patience, or humility are missing. Whatever hurts in your life hurts for a reason. And that reason is never to destroy you. It is to wake you. When you trust your pain's message, something powerful happens. Confusion becomes clarity. Weakness becomes understanding. Suffering becomes direction. The weak version of you wants to escape discomfort, but the stronger version, the one you must step into, walks through it with awareness. So ask yourself, what would change if you trusted your pain's message instead of fearing it? How much clearer would your life become? How much stronger would your spirit grow? This is the turning point. Let your pain sharpen you, not break you. Use it as the weapon of clarity that kills the weaker version of you and reveals the stronger self waiting beneath the stone. 8. Silence, the training ground of men who rise. Why do the strongest men speak the least, but act the most? This is a mystery many overlook, yet Buddhist wisdom has whispered it for centuries. Silence is not emptiness, it is training. Silence sharpens the blade of the mind. Let this truth sink into you like a soft bell echoing across a quiet valley, because the weaker version of you hides in noise, distractions, reactions, endless stimulation, while the stronger version emerges only when everything becomes still. Silence is a vast lake, still, reflective, revealing everything. Most men fear this lake because when the water is calm, their true thoughts rise to the surface. But this is where real growth begins. Imagine sitting by a still lake at dawn, the air cool, the world untouched. Watch your thoughts settle like dust sinking through water. Notice how clarity appears when the storm inside finally quiets. This is the training ground of men who rise. They master their minds when no one is watching. In today's world, you run from silence without realizing it. You rush into noise before you even breathe, scrolling as soon as you wake, speaking before you think, reacting before you understand. But silence is where the stronger self waits, patiently. Ask yourself gently, how often do you run from silence? What are you afraid you might hear? The truth is simple. When the noise stops, your life becomes readable. You see where your emotions are leading you. You see the real reasons behind your habits. You see the excuses, desires, wounds, and ambitions you've buried. Silence does not expose you to punish you. It exposes you to liberate you. It reveals the battles you must fight before 2025 ends. Buddhist teachings say that a quiet mind is a disciplined mind. A quiet mind is a dangerous mind, not to others, but to your own weakness. Because when you sit in silence, the weaker self loses its power. It cannot deceive you. It cannot distract you. It cannot manipulate your choices. Ask yourself, what truth emerges when the noise stops? What responsibility have you been avoiding? What dream have you buried under distraction? And what would happen if you sat with your mind daily, without judgment, without running, without fear? This is your turning point. Silence is not passive, it is preparation. It is the sharpening of presence, focus, and emotional strength. The weak version of you fears the quiet. The awakened version is born in it. Sit with your mind. Strengthen your spirit. Let silence become the place where the stronger you finally rises. 9. Become unshakable through stillness, not force. Why do people who force strength end up breaking? Because strength built from tension always snaps, but strength built from stillness becomes unshakable. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, true power is the calm that nothing can disturb. Let this truth settle softly inside you. Notice how different it feels from the loud, aggressive strength the world glorifies. Real strength is quiet, rooted, steady, like a presence that cannot be pushed off balance. Your mind should be a mountain, silent, immovable, untouched by storms. A mountain never argues with the wind, never panics when clouds gather, never begs for the weather to change. It simply stands, it watches, it waits. This is the strength you must cultivate before 2025 ends. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a mountain, thick, ancient, unmoved. Now place yourself at its center. Feel the stillness, feel the weight, feel the unshakable clarity. The weaker version of you reacts to everything. Someone's opinion, a small inconvenience, a moment of discomfort. But reacting is what makes you fragile. Responding is what makes you powerful. Ask yourself, where are you reacting instead of responding? Where does your peace shatter too quickly? Is it anger, insecurity, doubt, expectations? These are the winds that shake you, not because they are strong, but because your roots are not deep enough yet. In modern life, being easily disturbed has become normal. You are pulled by notifications, swayed by external noise, shaken by temporary emotions. But this constant reactivity drains your strength. In Buddhist teachings, stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of awareness. When you build stillness inside, storms cannot enter. Noise cannot control you. Fear cannot blind you. Think about what shakes you easily. A failure, a rejection, a slow day, a harsh word. Each of these moments reveals where stillness must be strengthened. The weak self panics, the wiser self breathes, and the stronger self remains centered no matter what happens. Imagine how your life would change if you were impossible to disturb. How many decisions would become clearer? How many goals would feel easier? How many emotions would lose their grip on you? This is your turning point. The world will always send storms, but the man who cultivates stillness becomes the mountain in the chaos. He listens deeply. He speaks intentionally. He acts from clarity, not impulse. Kill the weaker version of you, the reactive, fragile mind. Build the stillness that makes you unshakable. Because true power is not force. It is the quiet strength that nothing can move. 10. Freeing yourself from emotional gravity. What if your emotions were never chains, but clouds drifting through the vast sky of your mind? This is the truth many never realize. You suffer not because emotions appear, but because you cling to them as if they define you. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, feelings lose their power when you stop worshipping them. When you stop bowing to every wave of fear, anger, or doubt, you begin to rise above them, not by force, but by understanding. Emotions are weather, temporary patterns moving across the sky. A storm may feel overwhelming, but it never owns the sky. The sky remains untouched, open, infinite. You are that sky. Your emotions are only passing weather. Picture for a moment a storm swirling inside you, dark clouds of frustration, heavy rains of anxiety, winds of insecurity. Now watch those clouds begin to drift, slowly thinning, slowly scattering, until the blue returns. Notice how the sky was always there, unchanged, unmoved. This is the state you must step into before 2025 ends. The weaker version of you gets trapped in emotional gravity. It sinks under the weight of feelings that were never meant to last. It believes every fear. It obeys every sadness. It reacts to every surge of anger. But the stronger version of you learns to observe without drowning. Ask yourself, which emotion traps you the most? Is it fear of failure? Fear of judgment? A quiet sadness? A hidden insecurity? Every emotion has a truth beneath it, something it is trying to show you before it fades. When you stop trying to push emotions away or cling to them, they begin to pass naturally. Pain shows you where healing must happen. Anger shows you where boundaries are needed. Fear shows you where growth is calling. Every feeling is a messenger, not a prison. But only when you stop worshipping them do you finally hear their message. Imagine who you would become if your emotions no longer controlled your actions. Imagine the clarity you'd feel. Imagine the discipline you'd build. Imagine the freedom of responding from wisdom instead of reacting from impulse. That is emotional liberation, the moment you rise above the storm and remember you are the sky. Kill the weaker self who drowns in every wave of feeling. Become the sky that no storm can contain. When emotional gravity releases you, you don't just grow, you transcend. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My strength awakes now." 11. Choosing the identity that will enter 2025. Who will walk into your next year? The version of you shaped by fear, hesitation, and old habits, or the version quietly waiting beneath your skin, asking to be lived? Life is always asking you to choose, and the Buddha taught that identity is not fixed. It is sculpted moment by moment, decision by decision. Your next chapter requires a different version of you. These words are not a warning, they are an invitation. Imagine life as a long wooden bridge stretching into the unknown. At the entrance stand, two versions of you. One is familiar, the you who delays, who doubts, who hides behind excuses. The you who knows what to do but rarely does it. The one who has lived in the same patterns for years, calling them comfort. And next to him stands another version, the one you glimpse in rare moments of courage. Calm, steady, disciplined, aligned. The version who speaks less, acts more, and rises instead of retreating. Only one of them can cross. Take a quiet breath. Visualize the stronger version stepping onto the bridge, shoulders grounded, mind clear, steps certain. Watch how the weaker version begins to fade, not with violence, but with understanding. He dissolves because he is no longer needed. He was only ever a shadow created by old habits, old fears, old stories. Ask yourself gently, who must you stop being today? The answer is always the same, the version of you that keeps betraying your own potential. Your identity is a choice, not a destiny. Every morning, you wake up as a blank canvas, and through your actions, you decide which self gets painted. If your strongest self lived your day, what would he refuse to tolerate? What routine would he guard? What excuses would he never speak again? These questions are not small. They are gateways that separate the man you have been from the man you are becoming. Before 2025 ends, choose deliberately. Decide which version deserves to enter the next chapter. Not the one chained by stories of who you used to be, but the one aligned with who you are ready to become. Let this choice be quiet, sacred, and certain, like a monk blowing out an old candle so a brighter one can be lit. The bridge is waiting. Only one version can cross. Choose wisely. Bonus lesson. The rebirth. Becoming a man who cannot be shaken. What if rebirth is not a dramatic moment, not a collapse or a breakthrough, but a quiet choice made when no one is watching? Like a man standing alone at dusk, deciding he cannot return to who he once was. A new life begins when you stop returning to the old one. These words are simple, but they carry the power to end a lifetime of repeating the same cycles. Rebirth is not loud. Rebirth is a whisper inside your chest saying, enough. Imagine yourself inside a dim temple, the air still, the world silent. Before you is an altar, not for worship, but for release. On it, you place the weaker version of yourself, the one who hesitated, who avoided the truth, who sought comfort over courage. You bow your head, not in shame, but in gratitude, for even your weaker self tried to protect you in its own limited way. Then you turn and you walk out of the temple, lighter, clearer, reborn without flames or spectacle, like a phoenix that rises not from destruction, but from decision. Rebirth in Buddhism is not about becoming someone new overnight. It is about no longer being pulled backward by the man you used to be. It is a daily shedding of identities that no longer fit. Ask yourself with honesty, what must end now? Perhaps it is the habit of doubting yourself. Perhaps it is the attachment to pain that has long overstayed its purpose. Perhaps it is the way you shrink, the way you silence your own strength, the way you betray your inner clarity. And what must begin? Maybe a small discipline you've been avoiding. Maybe the courage to face silence. Maybe the willingness to feel your pain instead of running from it. Rebirth is not a single choice. It's a quiet accumulation of aligned choices that slowly, powerfully transform the man you are. Who are you becoming from this moment forward? Close your eyes and feel it. Not the fear, not the hesitation, but the steady sense that something within you is ready. Ready to stand firm, ready to rise, ready to refuse the pull of who you were yesterday. This is the rebirth that matters, the one no one sees, but everyone will feel. The weak version of you does not need to be destroyed. He just needs to be left behind. Quick summary of each principle. Stop negotiating with your weakness. Your weak self survives because you keep giving it small permissions. One skipped task, one excuse, one emotional justification. When you negotiate with weakness, you strengthen it. Growth begins the moment you take back your authority. This principle teaches you to stop feeding the patterns that drain your power. The inner death before rebirth. Transformation demands that a part of you must end. The habits, fears, identities, and beliefs that kept you safe in the past will imprison you in the future. Buddhists call this ego death, a necessary shedding. Rebirth happens when you courageously release who you no longer wish to be. Discipline as self-respect. Discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-love. When you act, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. The stronger version of you cannot exist without daily consistency. Real freedom begins when you keep the promises you make to yourself. Quiet strength of the unbreakable man. Strength does not come from being loud or aggressive. True strength is calm, steady, and rooted. A man becomes powerful when he stops reacting impulsively and starts responding with clarity. Life stops overwhelming you when your inner world becomes stable. Strength becomes who you are, not what you show. Exposing hidden excuses. Excuses sound logical, but they are emotional avoidance disguised as reasoning. When you see the real fear beneath an excuse, it immediately loses control over you. Growth demands brutal honesty with yourself. This principle helps you bring clarity to the places you've been hiding from. The samurai mind. Ending self-betrayal. Every time you procrastinate or break your own word, you train yourself to distrust yourself. Self-betrayal weakens identity and erodes confidence. Inner strength comes from aligning action with intention. You become powerful by ending the habit of abandoning what you know is right. Turning pain into clarity. Pain is not your enemy. It is a message. When you stop numbing your pain and start listening to it, It reveals the exact changes you need to make. Pain points directly to what is out of alignment. Growth accelerates when you treat suffering as guidance rather than misfortune. Silence as the training ground. Silence shows you who you really are without distraction. It reveals your deepest fears, truths, and desires. When you become comfortable with silence, your mind becomes sharper and your emotions lose their power to control you. Inner stillness becomes your greatest advantage. Becoming unshakable through stillness. Real strength is not force, it is stability. When you stop reacting emotionally and start observing your inner world, nothing can disturb your peace. Stillness allows you to respond from power instead of fear. This principle creates a foundation of mental resilience, freeing yourself from emotional gravity. Your emotions are temporary and do not define you. When you stop identifying with them, they lose their ability to pull you down. You learn to experience feelings without becoming them. Emotional freedom is one of the greatest signs of inner mastery. Choosing the identity that enters 2025. You cannot carry your old patterns into a new year and expect a different life. Identity is a choice, one that must be made consciously. This principle asks you to define who you want to become and commit to that version daily. Your future depends on the identity you choose now. Rebirth. Becoming the unshakable self. Rebirth is quiet, internal, and intentional. It happens the moment you stop returning to the weaker version of yourself. You step into a stronger identity by choosing consistently, not dramatically. This principle becomes the doorway to your next life chapter. Take a slow, steady breath and realize that your transformation won't come from a miracle or a sudden burst of motivation. It will come from the quiet decision to stop returning to the version of you that has already lived its purpose. Buddhism whispers a profound truth. When you let the old self die, the world reveals a new path. This is the moment you choose whether you evolve or repeat, whether you step forward or stay trapped in the same cycles that have exhausted your spirit for years. Let this be your turning point. Not tomorrow, not next month, now. Every habit you release, every excuse you expose, every small promise you keep becomes a step away from the weaker self and a step toward the man you were meant to become. Growth is not loud, it is sacred, steady, and deeply personal. And the question that remains is the only one that matters. Who will you choose to be before this year ends? Like and share this video, share your opinion in the comment box, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.